Hello everyone, Rare Model Reviews here, and today we have the 1/100 full mechanics Calamity Gundam. So, first of all, this is my one and only 1/100 kit out of the Gundam Seed line. That includes Destiny as well. And, of course, it's the only full mechanics mobile suit out here, or model kit, I guess I'd say. So, this thing is a big first impression for everyone, and honestly, I think the best thing we can do here really is just get into some articulation and go from there. So first off, we have the head here and go side to side here before it starts to get caught on the little shoulder guard here. Head goes up and down, side to side a little bit. And geez, I guess we'll go over to the shoulders here. It has these little, I'm not sure what these are, boosters or cooling units or whatever, but those go side to side. Shoulder goes shoulder armor goes up to about here, and the hand goes to about here before it knocks onto this piece here. Has this interesting little groove here. As you can see, it kind of like swivels out. So this helps do a lot of nice poses with the arms here. So you can see they like been all the way out here. So cross arm poses are no issue for this guy whatsoever. Has like, well, that's one thing you'll find about this thing. No, this thing is a little loose, so this tends to fall off, but it gives me a nice chance to show off some of the details this thing has here. And honestly, I'm not too sure where the full mechanics line mobile suits fall in, because they are very reminiscent of the RE100s, where they're not master grades, but they're made basically to stand tall next to them. And as far as I can tell, they don't use any parts besides maybe like beam sabers with the master grades. But sheesh. Moving on here, as you can see, multiple point articulation here in the arm, so this thing is only limited by the shoulder, and you can see what I mean about this little piece here liking to come off. So I don't know if I already said it, but if you don't plan on doing anything with this little piece here, just glue it. This thing is going to bother you. So it has this weird piece here on the wrist where it kind of comes in, but it like wiggles around. It's nice. Of course, wrist on the ball joint, so that spins around. Thumb here is the only thing that can move, so that's can go pretty much where you want until it knocks into the armor. And this is the bracket hand, so this thing can't move. Waist here, actually first and foremost, kind of rocks side to side here. Bit of an ab crunch, more so good for going down, not too much up. Can go side to side at the actual piece here, but that's about it. Side armor goes up and down, side to side a little bit. Can kind of spin off, but it'll, well, yeah, spin around and off. But front armor here goes to about there. All of these, of course, are individually articulated. I think these might have been, no, is that for the back I'm thinking of? Yeah, I think the back might have been one solid piece, but there's like this weird connected ball joint type thing, so I cut that in half, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, this now allows free range of movement for the rear armor, which of course, the posability for that is pretty good. So you can do a nice little back kick here. And getting onto the legs, actually, this thing came out last year, if I'm not mistaken. So this thing has like master grade quality articulation and parts falling off as well. And the thing about kits like this, they get too complicated and stuff wants to fall off. But I'm trying to show off, it has like this track in the waist here. I can't really get it to work, but take my word for it. It helps this thing with leaning forward. I think it's more so, yeah, there we go. Yeah, now I'm sure you can see that. Yeah, so if you see that, kind of helps it track back and forth like that for the articulation. Oh boy, I swear I never had the, I think I'm moving this thing around too much. Things are flying off everywhere. I could pop this stuff back in here. I'd like to get this guy situated. We're kind of doing a review here, buddy. It's not fall apart. But moving on, one thing you will notice is some of these parts don't quite fit in very flush, so You have the arm that likes to fall off there, the boosters that fall off here. And of course, you move the waist armor too much, that'll fall off. But as you've seen before, leg can bend up to right here. Let's actually move this back. I'm a little too close to the camera. And it can move all the way up here. So pretty good. As you can see, it probably can move more, but it gets obstructed by the thruster here. Ankle here moves side to side, back and forth. No movement at, well, actually, that's a little bit of movement at the toe. So I guess that's good for like crouching poses and whatnot. This little ankle guard here moves a little bit. And getting onto the backpack, so no other moving parts for the back beside the cannons here. Things have actual names. I forget what they're called. Actually, oh, these are called the schlags. I forgot I have this thing super decaled up. So these things have a lot of movement for the cannon, actually. So you could do a lot with these. And surprisingly, despite the fact that it has these enormous cannons on this back, this thing doesn't really have any weight issues. So I'm going to actually go ahead and go off with colors. I didn't color anything on this thing. All I did was panelize a little bit, such as on a face. I don't know if you can make that out. I decaled this thing completely, so every decal on the sheet I have on. And surprisingly, this is actually the decal sheet right here. These are, well, stickers. Can't really call them too much decals, but this thing has plenty left over, as you can see. So if you have any extra seed kits that lack decals, maybe high grades, you are all set in that department. So moving on to accessories, we have the shield here. I believe this is called the Kafer Sui. This one I know for sure, much like I was going on with rare armor, it had one little ball joint type connected piece that you would like put in here. I cut that in half. So this means that these can now articulate freely, whereas they would have been together. And it's like I said before, it's a ball joint, so these kind of swivel around. So you could do a lot with the guns here because of that. Once again, I didn't color anything. The color separation of this thing is amazing. You can spin around this joint here, and it has this little handle here that goes up and down, and it can slide like that. And of course, you would just mount this in the back of the arm here. You technically would be able to do it on either side, but you're supposed to put it in this side, and you'll see why. Of course, if you're a Seed fan, you'll know why it mounts in there. So of course, it holds pretty well with just that little piece right there in the back of the arm. But you can also put the handle in the hand for extra security. Now, this thing, for the most part, doesn't have any issues with it. As you can see, it holds it up no problem. I've had the Calamity for a couple months now, at least, maybe 3. And this thing has not worn down at all. So you have no issues there. I swear I've never knocked this thing off as much as I have in this review. And then, of course, we have this thing's main weapon here, the Tortoise block bazooka. This is a plasma bazooka. And again, with this thing, I have the bracket hands. We have the hand already mounted in there. It mounts in here with friction. It doesn't snap in or anything, but it holds pretty well. So, as you saw, I have that thing just wedged into the bazooka, and it sits there no problem. And it might be a little tricky to get in. I think I could do this. I'm trying to do it without having to take this thing apart. I usually always have the bazooka in the hand. There's not much of a reason not to, but let me see. Maybe this might be a little easier if I take the hand out. Come on. There we go. I think I got it in there. All right. So put the bazooka in the hand. And just like the shield, or Kafer Sui, whatever you want to call it, again, no issues holding it. Very light. And I love the color choice. It's like this gunmetal type color. So if you're curious, you very much can hold the bazooka over the shoulder. No issues there. And then you can get it under the shoulder, whereas how I usually have it positioned. Takes a little finessing to pull it off, but geez. There's my piece here again. Favorite piece coming off. But yeah, there we go. So you can get it under the arm, no issues. So one thing I did want to point out, I don't know how I messed this up, but this piece here, for the scope or whatever you want to call that, it's actually supposed to be horizontal. I messed up and put it on vertically. So when you're building this thing, make sure you pay attention to that. I'm very embarrassed I did that. But one thing I did want to mention is this thing has a few stickers. This piece right here for the scope, that's a sticker, the nice metallic red. There's a sticker for the front and the back camera. Although I literally have to take off the head for you to even see that camera. And it was very crappy too. This thing wanted to fall off on me. But it also, of course, has a sticker for the eyes as well. And I believe that's really it, besides, of course, the decals. Now, I'm going to go on to a little size comparison. So first and foremost, we have the high grade GM Cannon 2. And then the high Master Grip, 1-100 gun cannon. So I thought it'd be nice to put off some Canon mobile suits here. So it's about average height. I believe Seed is where they started making kits, average height for Gundams again. And then we have the action figure Strike Freedom here. So this thing's not a 1-100, so it's not supposed to be this big, but like I said, this is literally the only 1-100 Seed kit I have, so there you go. Now, this thing also has a little piece for an action base. So let me go get that first. And actually, while I'm at it, so we have a little bit of time here, I'm going to end this thing out with me putting them on an action base. But we actually have the manual here, if you're curious. I never unboxed this thing. I was so excited to get it, honestly. I never really got around to it. So if you're curious what the menu for this thing is going to look like, there you have it. I have this thing mounted on a tripod, so it's a little tough for me to take it off right now. But this thing, it functions basically like a master grade, but it builds like a high grade, if that makes sense. Because this thing was pretty quick and easy to build. I'd even argue that a new modeler would be able to pick this thing up and build them with like no issues. And I'm just going to go ahead and call it here. This is the first full mechanics line, if you don't want to count the Iron Blood Orphans, because technically those were the first kits that had the full mechanics name. But this thing definitely made a great impression on me. I definitely will be picking up some more of those full mechanic lines, suits or models from the Iron Blood Orphans, especially the Lupus Rex, because I really like the Lupus Rex. Probably my favorite kit out of all the Iron Blood Orphan kits. And basically, this thing is, honestly, in my opinion, it's basically a master grade. Only thing it doesn't make it a master grade again is the inner frame and the fact that the cockpit hatch doesn't open, which would be right where my thumb is there. So for mounting this thing on an action base, there's a little piece in the crotch there, or my bad, groove in the crotch, and of course you just plug it right there onto the stand or base. And the feet don't really maneuver down too much, unfortunately. So that's just about, oh boy, I don't think I put that in very well. That's one thing about this action base. It's not in there very well. So as you saw, this thing falls out very easy. So you have to be careful there. But thank you guys so much for watching. This is the Rare Model Reviews here, and I recommend this kit. Go and pick it up, guys.